Last year about this time, I released a video about Loving County, Texas, because it was the least populated county in the entire United States. And it was surprisingly popular. Over 300,000 of you watched that video. I couldn't believe it. And so obviously there was some interest in something like that. And so this year I'm back in Texas, and I am at the second least populated county, which is the third least populated county in the United States, second least populated in Texas, and with just a little bit over 200 people. This is King County, and King County is got some very interesting things about it. The Four Sixes Ranch, which if you're a fan of Yellowstone, the television show, you might be a little bit familiar with hearing about the Four Sixes Ranch. It was named after a guy who was killed at the Alamo, last name of King, and it was part of what was considered the Bear District, which actually Loving County was as well. It was a huge territory in Texas when they were organizing out here, and they eventually made this into King County. In fact, the early days of it, it really wasn't very organized. There was only 40 people at the first census, and then 10 years later there were only like 170 people at the 1890 census, and then it started growing. It got up to about 1,000 people. It's been mostly ranches, big ranches. The Four Sixes is one of them, but cotton, corn were things that were industry, kind of the leading industry here. Oil was discovered later on. Really didn't help the population a lot, but the boom of population happened, you know, kind of the 20s and 30s, got up over 1,000 people. The Depression and the Dust Bowl really hurted a third of the farmers, and lost their businesses basically during that time. And then it's just continued to dwindle and dwindle and get smaller and smaller. I'm here in the Dumont Cemetery, which is right on the county border with Dickens County and King County. And I drove up, and this was the first thing in the northwestern part of the county to see on my list. And the Dumont town, or I guess ghost town or whatever, the unincorporated community that is left, is just a little bit north of here. So that'll be the first place that we go after the cemetery. But nice little cemetery. Excited about checking out the third least populated county in the entire United States, the second least populated in Texas, King County. As I pull into Dumont, it's very windy out, and even though in the last part, where over there by the cemetery, I have a wind guard on the microphone, it's very windy. It's wide open here, and so it's very windy. So I'm going to record this part in my car. Yeah, here in Dumont is the second largest community in King County, and coming here and seeing it, it's hard to believe this is the second largest community, because there's not much of a community left. The school right here, unfortunately, has been burned down. It looks like destroyed, and kind of maybe a, I don't know, fitting image of King County, as Dumont was, you know, a decent size. It had over 100 people. It had multiple businesses on, you know, into the 50s and 1960s, and then this school, actually a few other schools had consolidated into this school, and then this school closed in, you know, the 1960s, and when schools close, that's kind of a sign that the town is going to be on the decline. And I read that in the year 2000 they estimated about 80 people living here, and it's certainly not that many now. There were never very many communities in King County. Finney was one of them, though, and it was the people that lived here had to go quite a ways to send their kids to school. So they eventually built a school here, and there was enough people here to warrant that. And then later on, that school consolidated with Guthrie, which is the county seat. And there's nothing here now. There's an old building. I say nothing. There is an old building. I don't know what it is. It certainly wasn't a school. And there's a dumpster. And they have, rules for how to use the dumpster here. So it's certainly interesting to think that there were reportedly 100 people or so that lived here at one time. Probably not very many businesses, but just agricultural, rural area, and a school for those farmers' kids. Much like where we're just at in Finney, the town of Grow was kind of more significant here because of the school that was here. So it was originally called Bala, B-A-L-A, and had a post office, and then it was, just like I mentioned with Finney, far away from a school, so they built a school here called the Bala School, and then they eventually changed the name to Grow. Not sure why. Maybe they were hoping it would grow, and it did. It grew to like 150 people, and then the economic depression and lack of jobs forced people to move towards Guthrie. The school consolidated with Guthrie, and then it dwindled. And there's a couple houses here, and there's a cotton gin back behind me. And that's pretty much the only remnant of Grow that I could find. I don't see the old school anywhere. But yeah, very, very quiet, really beautiful out here in this part of the northern part of King County. We've made our way down to the county seat of Guthrie, and it's a small county seat. It's actually unincorporated, and so they estimate there's about 150 people that live in this area. But when it's unincorporated, it doesn't have an official designation as a city limit or anything like that. So, but Guthrie, the early days of it was started in competition with another town called Asheville, or another settlement called Asheville, to try to become the county seat. And they had a hotly contested battle, and Guthrie won. And there were other little communities like we've started to visit on this tour today of King County, and then little by little, as we talked about with those other places, through drought and the depression and different reasons, people would leave those areas and come to Guthrie. By 1959, all the schools had consolidated and come here, and so it became, really the center of the county, and it was since then, it's where you come for all the county services. They do have a real nice school. I toured around all around that through the athletic facilities, and so pretty modern. And there's other modern places, along with some historical places like this courthouse I'm standing in front of. This isn't the current county courthouse, but the current one is right next to it. This is now a museum, closed today, unfortunately. And as you explore around, there's other pretty interesting old structures. And then kind of the main place to go to here is the 4 Sixes Ranch supply house that's actually here in kind of the Guthrie proper, and it's the place you get t-shirts for the 4 Sixes Ranch. And the 4 Sixes Ranch has gained a lot of popularity recently because of its role in the television show Yellowstone. If you're a fan of Yellowstone, you may know there's a kind of a spin-off episode, maybe a series about the 4 Sixes Ranch, and the ranch is real close. It just is kind of down. There's 2 main roads that go through this area, and Guthrie, the town of Guthrie, is on one, and the 4 Sixes Ranch is on the other. The 4 Sixes Ranch was established by Samuel Burnett in 1870 after he purchased the land from the Louisville Land and Cattle Company. It spans 350,000 acres. In 1921, oil was found on the ranch. And by 1936, there were 20,000 Hereford cattle on the ranch. In the 60s and 70s, the barn on the ranch was used in the advertisements for the cigarette brand Marlboro. And in 1975, scenes from the movie Macintosh and TJ were filmed on the ranch. In December of 2020, the ranch was sold in accordance with the will of the owner, Ann Burnett, who had died in February that year. It was listed on the market and sold for $347 million to a buyer group represented by screenwriter Taylor Sheridan, who has written the Yellowstone series. In looking for places to go here in King County, the only other things I could find as landmarks were a couple of very small cemeteries, and at least the next one is really down some back roads, so hopefully I can find it, and if not, it'll be a pretty anticlimactic ending to the video. So the cemetery is somewhere kind of in the middle out there, in the middle of the screen, so I either need to take this road to the right, which is a nice looking road, or go straight, but then the cemetery is kind of off to the right somewhere. Maybe have to walk through some stuff, so let's go straight and see what we find first. I think it's up there. I'm gonna walk instead of trying to drive through there. There's really some red dirt. I think the cemetery is over that way. Where are you at, cemetery? I think I see something over there. This is definitely the most out-of-the-way cemetery I've ever tried to find. This is like finding the needle in a haystack out here. So, pretty cool. I mean, there's not a lot to see in this part of King County, but this is one of them, the Gilkerson Cemetery. I'm assuming there wasn't a town of Gilkerson, maybe it was just some sort of family. Not very big, obviously, but yeah. You want to see how far out in the middle of nowhere I am? Check this out. I thought this would be a fitting in, just kind of way out here in King County, far away from anything really, and that lonely cemetery out there. Not too many people probably come and visit it, but it's still there as a reminder of a little bit of the history of King County. So hope you enjoyed this tour. I know I did. And next time you're in Northwest Texas, you might stop by King County and the Four Sixes Ranch, or maybe some of the other places we've shown in the video. Maybe even Gilkerson Cemetery. Fun fact, when I started this video, I mentioned how I did Loving County, Texas last year, the smallest county, and on the way to my destination tonight after filming the second smallest county, I went through Loving, Texas. There were several people that said I need to go visit Loving, Texas after I made that video, so I finally made it.